Well, welcome to the Dice Tower.
How you doing, folks?
It is a coup, people. We have kicked the Vasilator off.
He's out.
Show. Overtaken.
What are we renaming this show?
We'll have to come back and revisit that later. Right now, we'll just ride the wave of the Dice Tower for right now. And I mean, it's got a lot of popularity. People recognize the name. We'll keep it.
I'll run with that.
Later on, we'll change the name. But for right now, it's the Dice Tower with Sam and Z.
That's right.
Well, we're going to talk about the best games of 2012.
That's right.
According to our opinions.
Top 10 of the year, 2012, baby. What did you think of the year as a whole, Sam?
Year as a whole, a lot of good games.
Yeah.
Very fun games, a lot of stuff to play. I mean, I chose my top 10 list from 30 different games that I played over the year, enjoyed, and actually could remember aspects of the play.
I think it was a better year for you than it was for me. I probably could have named that many games, but many of those would have been through gritted teeth. So, not quite 30 to pick for me. I thought it was a really Euro-heavy game, not my kind of Euro either, and the American-style games were of the big and long and many, many hours kind, which is not my style either.
No.
But, there's definitely a few good games to be had in a moment here, so here we go.
Right.
All right, my number 10 for the year is Smash Up. Smash Up is a really fun little quick light card game, throwing crazy things at one another, zombies and robots and freaky fairy wizard people. All sorts of crazy stuff. It's a quick game in and out. I like it quite a bit. It's easy for it to hit the table, and anybody just about can play, so that's what I like about it. Smash Up.
Smash Up is a good game. I enjoyed it. Didn't actually make my list, but I really had fun playing it. I like the ability of putting the two different things together, ninjas, zombies, or robot aliens or what have you, and having that be your army. I thought that was a cool idea. Hadn't really been done before, as far as, the way they did it at least. So
yeah.
AEG did well in that one. Like it. I'll enjoy. I'll agree with that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
What's yours?
All right, my number 10 is a game that I actually was introduced to. It's called Trains. Now, Trains is a game that basically takes your deck building aspect from Dominion and Thunderstone and all that, all those games, and combines it with a little bit of a onboard play, to where you're taking the trains, you're connecting different cities and stuff like that. So it's basically a Dominion game with the added thing of a board and playing things on the board, and that's what kind of put it onto my list, putting those two things together. So Trains, had good fun playing it. Waiting for some expansions and maybe some sprucing up a little bit, but for right now, it squeaks in at number 10 for me.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool game, but I'm waiting for the pretty version of this game.
Yeah, it was definitely not pretty. Pictures are very nondescript, kind of boring. But the gameplay was cool, and I like the fact that they married the two genres together. So, made my list at number 10.
Cool. Here we go. All right, my number 9 for the year is Dixit. Dixit Journey, that is. What?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Dixit is a game that's been out. It's been out for a few years, and Dixit Journey doesn't really mix anything up. It doesn't change anything. It is the same game. However, the reason it makes my list is because the artwork on this one is gorgeous. Sam cannot deny that. He has no taste in art or artwork or possibly, as you will soon see, games. Moving on. This game, the artist changed for this one, and the artist before was really neat, but it was really abstract, really freaky stuff, and after you've seen a couple of releases, and there were several, they looked a little samey. This just is a breath of fresh air. Sam still sleeping?
Huh?
Dixit Journey, my number 9. Hit it, Sam.
It's a party game.
It's a good party game, too.
It's a party game. That's about all.
It's a game.
That has decent art in it. Sorry. That's all I got.
Go. What's yours?
All right. My number 9 is Star Wars X-Wing miniatures. I was like totally flabbergasted when I saw the pictures that were coming in from all the different cons of this game. I was totally loving the whole idea of flying my own X-Wing around and blowing up TIE fighters. I am a Star Wars aficionado.
That's not the word I was thinking of.
He was probably thinking of a different word.
Yeah.
But I love Star Wars. I've loved it since I was a kid. My dad took me to see the some of the movies in the theaters, and I've watched it ever since. Just bought the Blu-ray set.
So what do you like about this game?
This game, I enjoyed the Wings of War game that came out with the World War II game.
Just similar,
so
yeah.
It's very similar to that. So I knew I would like it. The fact that it's Star Wars, the fact that it's going to have a Millennium Falcon, a Slave One, A-Wings. Are they coming out with B-Wings?
Yes.
I hope so. Where did that disembodied voice...
Tom Vassal is in this room somehow.
I thought you took care of him.
I will deal with Vassal later.
Okay, well, anyway.
Now, here's the thing. Here's what I think of the X-Wing game.
Go ahead.
It's a miniatures game.
Exactly, that's what makes it cool.
It's another Star Wars game.
It's another art game.
Yeah. I'm not a big miniatures guy. That game I played, or I may not have even played. I watched it being played, and it was okay, just another miniatures game.
It's not a big mind-blowing event, but it's a game that I can break out and play with my sons, and they will absolutely have a blast.
Well, I know a lot of people love it, so
it's being a Star Wars fan, I could not leave this off my list. The fact that they're having a Millennium Falcon come out, that's just... That's so
and with
cool.
that sound, moving on. All right, my number 8 is Seasons. Seasons is a game that's been getting a lot of buzz, I think, this whole year, and a large part of that is because of the dice mechanic, which is really neat. The way you manipulate dice as you go around the board, and then the artwork, which a lot of people have been talking about. In the artwork, as I spin the game here to not face you guys because I want to look at the back, is very freaky, very high fantasy, technically perfect, and it's my kind of artwork. I really dig it. I really like the card play in this game. I like the one thing I'm a sucker for is cards with special powers, and this game has that in spades. That's why it made my list. Really, I really like that card manipulation.
That's cool.
Dice throwing, fun game.
Yeah, dice chuckers are always fun. I actually haven't been able to play Seasons yet, but I will say this is my plug for the game. I've seen it in, I would say, the last 5 gaming events I've been to, I've seen this being played at the last 4 out of the last 5. So people are really playing this game, and the way it looks, I'll jump on that a little bit. The artwork, the board layout, all of that looks really cool, and it draws you to the game. So I think that has a lot going for it. So haven't played it yet, but I would like to. I've been wanting to. But a lot of people are playing that game, so I'll give you props for adding that game.
Yay! I get Sam props. Hit it.
All right. My number 8 is a game that has 2 pigs on it.
Okay.
Guildhall. Great game where you can change your character role by the different cards that you play down. And I just really enjoy the different powers that each of the different roles had that came along with it. How you could manipulate other people's play area, or you could bolster your play area. I thought it was a cool idea that not a lot of people have hit on. So Guildhall kind of shone pretty well for me this year, and it's got a guy with 2 pigs on the front of it.
Yeah, and there's 2 farm animals there too. All right, my number 7 is a little card game for 2 players called The Convoy. This is an Essen release that came out from Portal this year, a company I'm really fond of, and it's a little bit like Revolver, the card game, where you have 2 sides that are very different. kind of going at different goals. One is trying to reach New York and destroy it. The other one is trying to stop that side from doing so. It's got a lot of funky cards with funky powers, a really cool Fallout-ish kind of theme. Quick, lots of choices though. A really fun 2-player card game. Have you been able to play this, Sam?
I've watched it being played. I haven't actually sat down and played it by myself. Well, with somebody else, of course. But he's right on. There's a lot of choices to be made. A lot of high tension parts where one card can change the entire outcome of that site that you're battling over.
It's got that really cool mechanic or idea where you might have to give up a fight now to bolster up for a fight later. You have to pick your battles, and it's a really neat idea.
Okay.
Yep. What do you got?
My number 7 is a slightly larger box.
Just a little bit.
I just messed up the entire thing, but since I already messed it up, Mage Wars entered the arena. When I promoted this, I did it again. Wow. Gee whiz. If you could just see what we see right now.
Mr. Vassal is dying slightly.
Turning red. But that's okay. He's just my ride home. So anyway, Mage Wars came out. Was promoted. What was that? Back in 2010, or was that?
It feels like it's been making the rounds for a while, right?
2011 at Origins is when I first came and got it played, and sat there for about half an hour at their booth at Origins before we actually got told how to play it. But when we actually got through and played it, we had a great time with it. It has been and probably will continue to be compared to Summoner Wars. However, this has maybe a little bit more meat to it at the very beginning. I think Summoner Wars has more meat to it ultimately because it's got more decks out for it and that type of thing.
Sure, it's got a leg up on it.
So it came out first. So I think Summoner Wars is still the better, more refined game. But as far as this coming out, this was a slam dunk from the very beginning in my book. The decks, the spell books are really a cool idea to where you had everything available to you. You just choose. I thought that was a little bit more intuitive than having to wait for that one card to come up in your deck so that you could use that power or produce that troop. I thought this was a little bit more intuitive to where you could just choose. If you wanted to use that guy now, use him now. You know? So I like this. I think Mage Wars and Summoner Wars are even keel for me. But this came out in 2012, so it's on my list.
Cool. I played it myself. I thought it was all right. But I'm not a huge fan of the fantasy style it's bringing, and I thought picking every card actually was not a good point for me.
Yeah.
I like having it dealt out, you know. But like you said, it's been a big hit as far as I know, and people do seem to love it, you know.
Yep.
So cool choice there. All right. All right, moving on to my number 6. Yes, 6. Among the Stars. This is a very, very new, very fresh card game. Feels a little bit like Seven Wonders. It's basically a drafting and card laying game. It's a really neat game. It has a great flavor. The card drafting mechanic in this works beautifully. Lots of tough choices as you get that new hand of cards and you look at it and you want it all. Or you got that one hand where you go, well, I guess I'll sacrifice this one card and pass it along. It's a really great game. The mechanics in this game just sold me right away. I love Seven Wonders already, and this is like a great new coat of paint on that with spatial management, because where you lay the cards really has an effect on the gameplay. So great game. My number 6 for the year, Among the Stars.
Among the Stars, yeah, it is a good game. I didn't jump on the the Seven Wonders bandwagon. Didn't drink the Kool-Aid because I had already played Fairy Tale, so I wasn't the whole drafting mechanic wasn't a new thing for me. That took a lot of people by storm, but I was already kind of introduced to it, so I was okay with it. I enjoy Seven Wonders. Don't get me wrong. But this one was cool too. I do like, as Z said, the spatial mechanic where where you place the card in relation to the other cards you've already played has a bearing on how many points that card gives you. Actually lost me the game that we played most recently. Z won by like 2 points because I had a card that was placed too close to one of the other cards. So
and it's a tight game too.
Very tight. I think first place to third was like what, 5 points. So it was very close, very tight game. So it has that going for it as well. You don't have these blow-away victories. But
I think this game is just getting started now.
Yeah.
But I think this game is going to be a big hit.
Yeah.
I think this game is going to be a big hit this year.
Yeah, it does have legs, I think, and I think there's a lot of replayability with it, with the different configurations that you can put up and all that kind of stuff. So, good choice.
All right. What's yours?
My number 6 is Lords of Waterdeep, and I really enjoyed this game. This is kind of more of a cube pusher. I guess you could call it more of a Euro than what I'm usually used to playing. But I guess I kind of like, dude, the glare, seriously. Yeah, thank you. I try to choose what Euros I put my weight behind carefully because I don't like a lot of them.
Right.
So this is one of the ones that I thought I could save some face putting my support behind. It's D&D, so it has a good theme. I know he doesn't like the fantasy stuff, but I do.
The theme actually didn't bother me in this game.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like is that theme was basically not utilized. It's a cube pusher.
That's
you know?
true. Yeah. It's and I'm being very clear, very honest here. It's absolutely nothing more than a cube pusher. But for me, that the theme made the cube pushing palatable for me. Okay.
And it's got a good worker placement mechanic, you know.
So worker placement is something that I've always liked with Pillars of the Earth and Stone Age and that type of stuff. I enjoy those kinds of games that my family enjoys too. So number 6, Lords of Waterdeep, going strong.
Cool.
Number 5.
Number 5 indeed for me is Android Netrunner. There's not a whole lot here. I think I'm going to need to say this game has been flying off the shelves. Everybody's into it. I never got to play the original when that first came out.
I did.
So I really wouldn't know the differences. I mean, I've read about them, but I wouldn't have played the original, and I think it's a great game. This gives me all that old great flavor from CCGs without being a CCG. LCG is kind of tiptoeing that, but you know, it's a really well system to package this in, and I was excited when I heard this was coming out. No other LCG have I gotten into, but when I heard this was coming out in this format, I'm on board, and apparently so is everybody else. My number 5.
I'm actually the opposite end of the spectrum. I played the original Android game, loved it. A lot of people gave that game a whole lot of negative buzz, I think because of the length of the game was one of the main things. So, but I haven't played this. So you've played that, not the original. I played the original, but not that.
It's like
I don't know what that does for you, but
complete each other somewhat.
Awkward.
Go.
My number 5 is higher on Z's list. So do you see that I went higher? Because never mind. So we'll talk about my number 5 later.
All right, moving on. All right, number 4. My number 4 for the year is Robinson Crusoe, subtitled Adventure on the Cursed Island.
He only plays it on Friday.
That's a Robinson Crusoe joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a cooperative game. It's on the meaty side of cooperative too, of pretty much every cooperative game that's out there. This is on the heavy, slightly longer side. Maybe not like Arkham long, but it's a lot of moving parts and a lot of really intricate stuff going on in this game. This has to be, if not the one of the most flavorful cooperative games I've ever played, though. I mean, as far as theme, this just blows everything else out of the water. It is absolutely stunning. It's got great artwork. It's got lots of fun working with other people and figuring out what do we absolutely need to do right now and what can wait a turn, and hopefully we won't die in this island, you know. I think this is a great game. Top 5, obviously for me, this is my number 4. Excellent co-op, and I'm a huge fan of co-ops. So that's, you know, that's difficult to crack that list, and this is one of my top 5 of all time co-ops. Robinson Crusoe, excellent
Robinson
game.
Crusoe. I actually haven't been able to sink my teeth into this one yet. However, now that Z has given such a glowing report, I guess I'll have to try.
He'll avoid it.
All right. So my number 4 is a somewhat, I guess, possibly drier game, but it has all the depth that I think would be necessary for a number 4, a top 5 from a year, and that is Divided Republic. It's a politically based game to where you're kind of, I don't know, kind of like 1960, where you're trying to gain support in different areas of the country, but it's set back in Civil War era times, to where and there's all those different factions going along, and being a history buff, I really enjoyed watching that lead up to the election kind of play out, and it has a lot of intricacies to it, to where you don't have to necessarily go after the popular vote, or not the popular vote, but the what's the other aspect? The other electoral college. Thank you, disembodied voice.
I'm gonna find out who that is.
You need to. You can play Android later and find out who it was. But the Electoral College, you can go for that, and it's a long shot, or you can try to garner the support of the actual people in the different regions of the country. I just really had a good time playing it.
And you play it on Saturday. All Saturday, probably.
No, it's not that long of a game. Maybe 2 hours.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
So it's really not a long game. It goes pretty quick, and there's a lot of decision making. There's not a lot of downtime that I can recall. And if you can't recall downtime, then it wasn't a lot of downtime.
Cool.
So I really enjoyed Divided Republic, my number 4.
All right, my number 3 is Uchronia. This is a game that is very, very similar to Glory to Rome by the same designer. And I think there was a big hoopla actually before this came out, because people were in an uproar about it being basically the same game almost. It's not. It's not the same game. And I think a lot of people will not like this game if they like Glory to Rome a whole lot, because this is simpler, this is more tactical and less strategic. There is an easier point of entry in this game, and for all those things, I like this better than Glory to Rome. I really like the fact that you don't have your own buildings, like in Glory to Rome. The buildings are shared, they are on the table, so you got to fight over those. And the cards you're holding, as opposed to in Glory to Rome, which are very complicated, you have a lot to digest every time you get a few new cards. In this, the cards you hold are extremely simple. The gameplay is a little quicker. The artwork is, well, you know, it's got artwork. And it's just a great card game. I thought this was a huge surprise for me. I thought I might like it. I like Glory to Rome. I'm not head over heels over it, but I like it. But this really surprised me. It turned out to be a much better game for me. So, Uchronia, my number 4.
Well, based on your description...
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3. Based on your description, I may be able to stomach Uchronia. I didn't really have much fun with Glory to Rome. Hardly at all. So, I mean, it was an okay game. I'm not trying to down it. Please don't understand me. I just, not my cup of tea. So, maybe I'll be able to enjoy that in a little bit.
Cool.
All right, my number 3 is yet another Euro game. But again, remember, I pick my Euro games wisely. And Manhattan Project is definitely that. Again, another worker placement game. Again, like I said earlier, I love that mechanic. This is also a cube pusher to an extent, but it's a Euro game where you're building nuclear weapons. Go figure.
It's good for the whole family.
Yeah, it is. It's enjoyable. You don't actually kill anybody with those nuclear weapons, so don't go off the deep end. This is still a Euro game. You can bomb people's factories. You can send people on fighter attacks for people's factories. So there is a little bit of conflict there, but it is somewhat of a costly venture to bomb somebody else's factory. So it does need to be at a opportune moment. But Manhattan Project, I thought, was a great. Again, I'm a history teacher, so it fit the history theme for me a little bit, going back to the arms race and all that good stuff, Cold War. So that was the thing that kind of pushed it over the ledge. Really enjoyed this game. Had a great time playing it. Can't wait to play it again. My number 3, the Manhattan Project.
That's a great choice, and I really, like you said, that period in history is a little underused, I think, in board games. So definitely cool theme.
Yeah.
All right, my number 2 is Atlantis Rising. This is yet another co-op. As I said, I love co-ops, and this is a really neat one. This came out a little earlier in the year, if I'm not mistaken, and what it adds to the co-op machine is that it's got a really cool push your luck aspect. You're basically trying to protect Atlantis from sinking, even though the title would be very misleading to those of you that don't know the theme. And the island is sinking from the outside in, and so you can go closer to the edge of the island, but you're more likely to sink for a better reward. So it's got that push your luck theme. It's really cool. It's definitely on the lighter side, I think, of co-ops. Mind you, I said lighter, not easier. This game will beat you down as soon as you play. I mean, that, at the end of the first round, you say, well, are they kidding? This is a practical... Where's the real rule book? This game will just smack you around right away. And, yes, things even out by the end of the game, and I don't think I've won, but I've come close. But it will sneak up on you. But still, you want a cool co-op, something you can easily teach, something with great artwork. This is a great choice, and my number 2 for the year, Atlantis Rising.
Yeah, I really enjoy Atlantis Rising. I think it's a phenomenal pick for a number 2 for 2012. I think it really embodies a lot of what makes co-op games so fun and so cool to play. Because Atlantis Rising, I think, makes it... You know, some of the co-op games, they're just really easy to beat on their easy level.
Yeah.
And then they're like really like Mondo hard to beat on their hard level. Atlantis Rising starts off a little bit more difficult on the easy level, which I think is cool because you don't come out of the gate whooping the game's butt right off the bat. You can still get your butt handed to you on that easy level, and so I think that's kind of cool because it keeps you coming back for a little bit more. I think we can do this. You know, you're just on the cusp of beating the game, but
yeah, it never feels unfair. It feels like you almost had it that time, and that's what keeps you coming back.
We would have just done this, we would have had this, and so forth and so on.
Yep. Lots of aha moments as you flip a card and go, oh, I didn't need it to be that. I needed it to be such other thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's got a lot of those great moments.
Artwork is absolutely phenomenal. If you enjoy co-op games, you need to go pick that one up because that is it's just cream of the crop.
Yep.
My number 2 is not as high production, but it is still a very cool game. Samurai Sword, as based on the Bang game system. If you remember the game Bang, where it's Wild West, you have your sheriff and your deputies and your desperados and your renegade and all that. It's basically the same idea, but here you have shoguns and ninjas and samurai. And you're using the same game system, kind of like how Command and Colors and Memoir 44 and Battle Cry and all those games use the same basic system. They just kind of slap a new theme on it and change the rules a little bit.
Yep.
That's what you've got with Samurai Sword. I had a great time playing Bang. Still enjoy playing the game when I can get it to the table. One of the problems with Bang is that it tended to draw out a little bit too long. I think they've probably fixed that problem with Samurai Sword.
Great.
So Samurai Sword is a strong number 2. I was very happy to see this come out this year because I really enjoyed the bang system, but I wanted something that's a little bit shorter, and here it is, folks. Samurai Sword, based upon the bang game system, number 2.
Really cool. Yeah, it's definitely my kind of game. And it's a really cool re-theme, you know? I mean, the tweaks, like you said, whenever a designer gets a chance to tweak their games, I'm always on board, especially with a cool new coat of paint like this.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, and lastly, my number 1 game of the year.
Numero uno.
Libertalia. This game is awesome. It has everything I like in a game. Cool pirate theme. Characters with awesome special powers on them. Bluffing. Double thinking. What's everybody else going to play?
Yeah.
Hand management. It moves quickly. It's basically a card game, really. But, you know, you're grabbing tokens, you're playing characters that do wacky stuff. You got a crazy cast of characters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like jumping into a pirate movie with all these wacky people, and you're trying to use them to your advantage, you know? The artwork is awesome. It's this really weird, realistic, but you can still tell it's drawn look, where the people look very, very real.
Right.
And it is, I mean, you look like you're like...
It's almost creepy realistic.
Yeah, it's like, it makes you feel like you're looking at a painting of a real pirate who existed, and you're looking at an old painting of them. It's gorgeous. And this game blew my mind when I first played it. I expected very little from it, actually. But as soon as I saw the components, I had to play it. And as soon as I played it, I was just blown away. This, if you have not played, you got to check this out. If you like these ideas... Excellent, excellent game. My number 1 of the year, Libertalia.
This was my number 5. I mentioned it to you earlier. Didn't give you the name because I didn't want to steal any of Z's thunder, but this was in my top 5 games of the year, Libertalia. A lot of the different things. This is still has a little bit of the role choosing aspect to it, to where you have your hand full of people and you choose what power you want to use and that type of thing. So that really hit my sweet spot as well. A lot of the player interaction, because if you play one card and somebody else plays the same thing, it just totally blew your plans out of the water.
Yeah, you can get hosed if you're not careful.
So there's a lot of tension that I like that kind of tension. I think it's healthy tension in a game, to where you have to keep your mind flowing. What do they have in their hand? What do I still have in mind? And all that kind of stuff. So this one was really cool too. I saw the artwork and I had high hopes for it, and they were met. So that was my number 5, his number 1, Libertalia. Very cool.
Yep.
All right, my number 1. And if you know anything about me, you know space is like my dream theme, I guess you could say. I love, love, love games that have a space theme to them, as long as the theme works with the mechanics, of course.
Yep.
But my number 1 for this year is Exodus Proxima Centauri. Yes, this was a very cool game, and I have to admit, I began playing it not expecting anything at all. This is the reason why, folks, and I'll be a little bit hasty here, but this was advertised to me by our disembodied voice as Twilight Imperium 3 Light.
As every other game probably happened, right? I mean, you get at least a few of those every year, right?
This after Eclipse was also advertised to me by said disembodied voice as Twilight Imperium 3 Light. Well, Eclipse, didn't fill those shoes, didn't even come close. This one, however, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely fills those shoes. This is a very cool, very streamlined, I guess you could say. About half, at least, the game time of a Twilight Imperium 3. And it scratches the same itch. And so, with my love for Twilight Imperium 3, I could not but give this my coveted number 1 position for 2012. Exodus Proxima Centauri.
That is high praise indeed, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. All right, folks. Well, there it is, our top 10 for the year of 2012. I hope you enjoyed our lists, and I think we're going to catch you guys on the flip side.
I enjoyed the lack of Tom's list.
I say we keep this show.
I think so.
Let's just keep it.
Yeah.
We'll just name it something else and keep it.
We'll have to take care of that disembodied voice in the
Take care of that right now.
Yeah.
Who you going to call?
There it is again.
Ghostbusters.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.